Ms. Holly?
All councilors present and a quorum has been declared.
Thank you. Up next on the agenda, we have the agenda approval.
Mayor, staff has a recommendation that
Yes.
after you conduct your Alamosa Housing Authority appointments, we move the discussion regarding locomotive 169 above the other staff items.
Okay, council.
With that, Mayor, I'll make the motion, we approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second.
Okay. We got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, please start voting.
The motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Up next, we have citizen comments. This is the segment of the agenda where we allow citizens to come up to the podium and make any comments. We just ask that you finish your comments within 3 minutes. If you are still talking within 3 minutes when the buzzer goes off, I will politely ask you to have a seat. At this time, I don't have any comment cards. Did anyone? Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And Mayor, with the absence of Eric, who knows how to operate the timer, we'll just be using my 3-minute timer
Okay.
on the phone.
Okay. And we have Mark here today who's filling in for Eric. We want to thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. You're welcome. All righty. Good deal. We have a comment card from Ms. Ruthie Brown.
If you look at the bottom, there's a button right there. If you push that button, it'll turn on.
There you go.
Speak. All right, Holly. Ruthie Brown, and I live at 711 State Avenue. And a couple weeks ago, I had a little altercation in front of my store with a couple punk teenagers, 13, 14 years old. I was blown away. I'm lucky I didn't hit them. I'm lucky I didn't taser them or whatever, but I called the police. And, you know, we handled it. And then, you know, the next day these kids go by my store going like this and pointing to their backpack going AK-47 Tech 9. And I called the police again. And the next day they did the same thing. But what hit me is that this is what our police deal with every single day, all day long. And so then when I understand that we're short of officers, and we've been short of officers, and we wonder why we're short of officers. Well, I can tell you why, because it's pretty plain and simple. If you talk to the officers who have left, it's pay. You know, these guys are and ladies are expected to strap on a bulletproof vest and a gun and tasers and all, know everything and protect. Let's see, they risk their lives every second of their shift, protecting the lives, health, welfare, and properties of individuals in Alamosa. They're exposed to the dregs of our community, and if we can't make it an absolute priority to figure out how to pay them more to get them here and to keep them here, then shame on our community. I understand standing in front of 100 other city employees who I know a lot of them. It's not the same as what the police do. You know, they work nights, they work weekends, they work holidays on a regular basis. And again, every minute their life is at risk. That's different than working in the streets and working on the roads and hauling the trash. And if the pay grade can't be different, then ask the other city workers to go to the police academy and do the same job that our police officers are doing. It's just plain and simple. Call State Patrol, find out what they're paying. It's quite a bit more than the city. Call ASU, it's quite a bit more than the city with less challenges, less responsibilities. I just think it should be, seeing what the police did in front of my store with these young punks,
Okay.
I think the city needs to make it an absolute priority, or
Okay.
tell the citizens why it's not
Okay.
a priority.
Thank you so much, Ms. Brown. Okay. Any follow-up to that, Heather?
Thank you, Mayor. It's always great to hear support for our police department, because I couldn't agree more. The job they do and putting their lives on the line is extremely critical. I think some of the parts that we're missing from that presentation is the focus on the market survey that we did. And when we look at comparable police departments that all have the same working environment, and we included ASU and State Patrol, we placed the police in line when we did that market. And so my comments during the budget meeting is I'm not going to stand up in front of 100 employees to increase just one group of employees unless I have the data in order to support it. And so I think that's important information, because it's not a value choice and how much we value our police department. It's making sure, and we're basing our pay system, that it's based on actual data, which is the market. And so I appreciate any support we have for all of our employees. And it's important, though, to recognize what our pay plan is based on, and that it's based on that kind of data.
Okay. Thank you, Heather. Okay. Being that I don't have any additional comment cards, we're going to move down the agenda to ceremonial items. Tonight we have a couple of ceremonial items. The first one is the San Luis Valley Pride Day Proclamation. As a council, we try to work together as a team, and every now and then I share the proclamations with other council members so that they would have an opportunity to read the proclamations. And tonight, I'm fortunate to have Councilor Michael Carson, who's going to read that proclamation. And Michael, what we'll do first, if there's anyone who's here who's with the group who's participating in the Pride Day Proclamation, feel free to come up to the podium and say a few words if you like.
My name is Scott White. I'm a resident, I'm a native of the Alamosa, and I just want to thank the city for doing this, for showing all San Luis Valley residents, and all Alamosa residents in particular, that we're a valued piece of the community. And that, as we progress through time, that things are safer and better for all citizens. And we just want to recognize you all and the city as a whole, its residents included, for being there and for helping us recognize this historic day for Alamosa. It was our first Pride Fest this coming weekend. Thank you.
Good, good. And Scott, before you leave, Councilor Carson is going to read the proclamation, and then we as a council will come down and present it to you, okay?
Fantastic.
And anyone else who's participating in some of the activities this weekend, okay?
Okay.
All right.
City of Alamosa Proclamation recognizing the first San Luis Valley Pride Day in the city of Alamosa. Whereas Alamosa has a diverse lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer population and is committed to supporting visibility, dignity, and equity for all people in the community. And whereas many residents, students, and business owners in Alamosa who contribute to its enrichment are part of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community. And whereas everybody should be able to live without fear of prejudice, discrimination, violence, and hatred based on race, religion, gender, identity, or sexual orientation. Now, therefore, the City of Alamosa does hereby proclaim August 24th, 2019 to be San Luis Valley Pride Day. In recognition of the inaugural San Luis Valley Pride Fest, and the invites all residents of Alamosa to the San Luis Valley to participate in the celebration on that day and to build a culture of mutual respect and understanding. Given under our hand and the seal of City of Alamosa, Colorado on this first day of May 2019.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Carson. Counselor Hensley.
I just want to add, Scott, I know how hard you've worked for this. I know you have put a lot of hours because this is a passion for you, but also for our community. And this has been going on. I know that we talked about this a year ago. I know even you worked with some students working on a website, just everything you've done. And so I just want to commend you for how hard you've worked to bring this event to our community and to share that and putting the time in because of your passion.
Thank you.
Counselor Daniel.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
And I just wanted to add, I'm very proud of our community to be able to have an event like this. I'm super excited that the community we have here is willing to put themselves out there and say, hey, let's celebrate this and let's do some fun things. I am really proud to have friends throughout the community and proud to call myself an ally. And so I'm really excited that we get to celebrate in this way in Alamosa because I know many of my friends haven't felt like they could before. And so I really appreciate this.
Thank you.
Counselor Carson.
I also want to say thank you, Scott, for this effort. This is an issue that's near and dear to my heart, so appreciate the effort, and we'll see you Saturday. Thank you.
And I too want to, go ahead.
I just want to follow up, and it's not just, I've gotten a lot of recognition here, but it's not just me. We have a very strong core group of planners and a committee that have worked really hard for months and months and months. And I share this, I share all this praise and recognition with them as well.
Okay. Counselor Vigil.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to echo the words up here, Scott, thank you to you and your group for putting this event on. And kind of what Ms. Daniel said, I'm really proud of our city that we're welcoming to all. If you recall, we kind of did something similar, not an event, but we proclaimed after the Charlottesville issues a couple of years ago that we're not going to be a town that hates and does things like that. So it kind of goes along those lines. So I just appreciate that. And Heather, if you could, I hate to put you on the spot, could you remind us the funding that we're giving to this event by chance? Or maybe Scott, if you know.
Christina, was it 2,000? 2,000?
It was.
Thank you.
Counselor Hensley.
I have just one more question or what. Since there's going to be activities on Saturday, just so we can make sure it's out and everybody knows, do you want to share a little bit of what Saturday will look like?
Sure. Saturday, we will meet at the Trinidad State Junior College parking lot at 4th and Alamosa for our Rainbow Ramble. It's a people-powered parade. We'll cut down Alamosa Avenue and down 2nd Street, right into Cole Park. We'll step off at 10:30. Alamosa Police Department has been gracious enough to help us out with that. We very much appreciate it. When we get to the park, roughly 11 o'clock, we will be in full swing with vendor booths and kids' activities and live music, a DJ, performances. There's going to be all kinds of fun festival-type stuff. And following that evening, there's a performance, a female impersonator performance, who is coming here pro bono for us. She's doing this for over 20 years and has raised over $1 million for charity in her time of doing this, and she's chosen to come in here and work with us to give us a leg up for next year, and that's at ASU Experimental Theater. So that's our range of stuff going on for Saturday. Thank you. You bet. Thank you.
Okay. And Scott, I too would like to just thank you and your team for the efforts that you're putting into this weekend. And I feel honored to be in a community that treats all people with dignity, decency, and respect. So go out there and have a good weekend.
We will, and we hope you all will join us for the weekend.
Thank you so much. Okay. Up next, under ceremonial items, we have a presentation of the Lifesaving Award to Sergeant Squires. Chief Anderson.
Okay. Mayor, City Council, how do I turn this on? Okay, that's better. Good to see you all tonight. Thank you for the time to explain why we're here. So on July 3rd, 2019, at approximately 12:53 in the afternoon, Alamosa police officers were dispatched to the intersection of Main Street and Alamosa Avenue regarding a car versus motorcycle accident. Upon arrival, Sergeant William Squires located a male party who was lying in the roadway with a severe injury to his leg. Sergeant Squires immediately attended to the injured individual, and due to a massive amount of blood loss, Sergeant Squires placed a tourniquet around the injured leg, preventing further blood loss. The Alamosa ambulance crew arrived on scene and transported the victim. I received a letter from the Alamosa EMS medical director, Dr. Blair Woodbury, asking if we could present an award to Sergeant Squires for his exceptional care for their patient. Dr. Woodbury advised us that Sergeant Squires applied a tourniquet to a patient who had a near-complete amputation. The doctor went on to say that in his experience, tourniquets are more often than not misapplied in the field and may often worsen bleeding if done incorrectly. Sergeant Squires applied it so successfully it remained in place until the patient went to the operating room. Dr. Woodbury also indicated, given the amount of bleeding that could have occurred, he believes there's a high likelihood that Sergeant Squires saved the patient's life. So I would also like to take this opportunity to introduce the individual who was involved in the accident, Mr. Miguel Hurtado, to our City Council. So I spoke to Mr. Hurtado, asking him if he would make his presence here today, so I do appreciate him showing up. I believe Sergeant Squires acted quickly, used his training and experience, and applied them all to save the life of another. I believe his actions are to be commended, and I am honored to be presenting this award to Sergeant William Squires.
Hello, everyone. Chief, council members, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to elaborate on what the chief just said because he got it secondhand. I was there. On July 3rd, 2019, I was involved in a life-changing accident which took my leg. Now, some of you may know me as Coach Miguel Hurtado, Grizzly MMA kickboxing coach. Others may know me as Roscoe, president and founder of the San Luis Valley Theater Company. And still others probably know me as, hey, that's that Walmart guy who's always helpful to us. And I expected an applause on that one. Okay. Whichever the case may be, many people were involved in the saving of this particular life, which I have always attempted to live as a worthy one. I realized there would not have been a life but for this special man and the super team. Officer Willie Squires, who placed a tourniquet on my leg and began cranking away, and cranking away, and cranking, and cranking. Oh, okay, stop, that's enough. It's hurting. No, just a few more turns. It's all right. You said that, didn't you? Something like that. Yes. That's right. Oh, no, this guy's never going to stop. Thank goodness for that. Then the ambulance came in. Gary, the EMT guy. Dr. Chris, the surgeon. Nurses Rick and Peter. CNA Dave. My wife, Diane, who is sitting right over there. And she's a nurse of 35 years and never left my side. My daughter, Dr. Giselle Hurtado, a PhD, who was very instrumental working alongside my wife, making me as comfortable as possible for that entire month I was in the hospital. It is for certain that if Sergeant Willie Squires had not kept me alive long enough for the super team to take over, that team would have had to work on someone else. This is a man I consider my hero, Sergeant Willie Squires. Of the Alamosa Police Department, thank you for your quick action. Sergeant Willie Squires, yes, sir. My hero.
I could say whatever you want me to say, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say thanks, obviously to all those guys back there with me, the chief for making this possible, my family, and Mr. Hurtado for being here. I'm just doing my job. This is what you guys pay me for. The tourniquet is a tool on my belt, just like everything else. And just thankful to the chief, our command staff for giving us the training to use it properly. So that's it.
Wow. Councilor Brawls.
I was just going to ask, were you ever a Boy Scout?
I was not, no, sir. No.
Where'd you get your training from?
From here. All my tourniquet medical training's all from here.
Well, good. Good job. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Carson.
I just want to say, Officer Squires, that thank you. You're a good officer. All you guys are. And I commend you because I always hear good things about you, and I always see you do great things. Thank you.
Councilor Hensley.
Definitely echoing what my fellow council people are saying. Thank you for everything you do. I will also add, Roscoe, I know you more as Roscoe, is I remember reading your Facebook post when you kind of explained, and you were even saying how you were saying, stop, don't keep tightening. And I have to tell you, was when I read that, because I really didn't know the whole story till I read that, and you explained it so well. But I honestly was sitting there looking at my computer. I was in my office, and I remember it brought tears to my eyes, and I was crying just because it was so heartfelt. So thank you for sharing also what happened, and I do wish you the best going forward. I know this is a life-changing experience for you, but also commend everybody, and this shows what our community is about.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor, no? Okay. Councilor Griego.
I also want to thank you, Officer Squires. That I want to echo the comments that Ruth said earlier about our police officers and the line of duty that they carry every day. There should be something maybe in the future we can do to help out in there further, but the training that you guys do, that the chief provides, it's top-notch training, so that helps our community. And thank you so much for what you've done.
Yes, sir.
Sergeant Squires, I too would like to thank you for your life-saving efforts. Not only did you save a resident, you also saved a real good friend of mine, Roscoe and Diane, good friends, and he called me one day and he said, after he made it through the first surgery, he says, hey, there was one of your officers. He saved my life. You have to make sure that you all do something to recognize him. And I was so glad that Heather and the rest of the team and the chief put this together to make sure that we recognize you. And I have to tell you this because I got another phone call just last week from another gentleman, I believe, by the name of Mr. Intencio. He told me to tell you thank you for saving his life as well. So keep up the great work that you're doing. The police department would appreciate everything that you do. And just remember, it's the little things that you do that makes a big difference. And you never know how important that little thing can become a big thing, like in Roscoe's situation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good. All right.
Let's give him one more round of applause, everybody. Okay. All right, we're going to start it back up here in a second. We always like to recognize people who are in the audience whenever they serve the government in any way, and we have a state rep, Ed Vehicle. We just want to thank you for coming out here tonight. Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, up next, we have consent calendar A.
Mayor, I move that we approve consent calendar A.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, please start voting.
The motion carried unanimously.
All right, good. Up next, we have regular business. I believe this is where we change some things around, almost, right? Almost, okay. So right now, we have the voting on the Alamosa Housing Authority appointments. Ms. Holly?
Yes, sir. So this board is not a city board, but the mayor has in the past been the one to appoint these people to this board. So he's chosen the representatives to be appointed by the board, and council has approved those appointments on our agenda. The mayor wanted to change the way we do it to structure it the same way we have our other representatives voted on the other boards. So we've done that. There's no specific process in the bylaws for the housing authority that says that we can't do that. So we've done that. We did interviews. You guys interviewed the applicants on August 7th. You had 3 applicants: Joseph Lucero, Irene Marquez, and Jason Vigil. So I do have ballots for you. So if you guys will take one, and then you can vote for 2 of the 3. Okay, so after you're totaling your votes, the 2 you guys have appointed to this board is Joseph Lucero and Irene Marquez. So if we can have a vote confirming that.
You would need a motion for that, Mayor?
A motion,
Okay.
yes.
Oh,
We need a motion? Okay, go ahead.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Wait, who made the first?
We
Who made?
need to clear up that motion.
Oh, yeah, let's
Okay.
clear it up a little bit.
I move
that
that we appoint Joseph Lucero and Irene Marquez, right, to the Housing Authority Board.
Okay. All right.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Okay. Start voting. Okay,
The motion carried unanimously.
thank you. Okay, now I believe this is where we move the item up, right? Okay, Heather?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. And we
welcome.
do have Aaron Keck here, who is the director of the chamber, in case you guys have any questions. The item before you is somewhat unique in that the recommendation from staff is to accept from the chamber locomotive 169 and the B1, which is the train that's just right here on the City Hall property. I think most people probably have already assumed that it's owned by the city. In fact, at one point it was, and then it was gifted to the chamber, and now the chamber would like to gift it back. The reason the chamber would like to gift it back is carrying that asset on their financials requires them to file extra paperwork from a tax perspective, which then requires additional cost for those filings and those types of things. So there's really not much purpose either that the chamber has for owning the train. So from a city perspective, there is no expectation that we're going to invest money into it or rehab it or restore it or do anything like that. We did reach out to the Friends of the 169, and they actually think it's a good idea that some of their donors may feel that the city is a little bit more stable and can provide donations and those types of things as well. And so the only cost that would exist for the city is very minimal in regards to the cost of insurance to cover the train. And so with that, we would recommend that we accept ownership of the train, locomotive 169 and B1 from the Alamosa Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Heather. Council Carson?
If there's no further discussion, I'd make a motion that we approve the ordinance on first reading and set for a public hearing on September 4th, 2019 at 7 p.m.
And there doesn't need to be a second reading, it's just a motion authorizing us to accept it. So it's not an ordinance.
Oh, my.
Just move to.
So it's 3B. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, let's move to accept ownership.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right. Please start voting. Okay, Ms. Holly?
The motion carried unanimously.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, Aaron, for the train. We appreciate that. Okay. Up next, under business brought forth by city staff, we have the first reading of ordinance number 19-2019. Chief?
Evening, Mayor, Council. The ordinance is to deal with an intergovernmental agreement between the Colorado Department of Public Safety, which is the state patrol who handles the dispatching for both fire and police departments. It's to allow us to be able to send emergency 911 alerts or use the IPAWS system, which is the reverse 911. Simple little agreement is what that's all about. Anybody, any questions?
I'll make a comment to the effect of.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
I was in a meeting the other day, emergency management meeting last month, and worked pretty good. I didn't see any issues with it. And if there's no further discussion, I'd make the motion that we approve the ordinance on first reading and set for a public hearing on September 4th, 2019 at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter as the matter may be heard.
Okay.
Mr. Carson, could you please list the ordinance number?
Ordinance 19-2019.
Thank you, sir, and I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, please start voting. Okay,
Thank you.
thank
The
you.
motion carried unanimously.
Thank you so much. Okay, up next, under item 2, we have under City Clerk Municipal Court, resolution number 17-2019. That's
Okay.
you, Ms. Holly?
Yep. This is the resolution that sets your ballot titles for the election this year. At its meeting on August 7th, 2019, after having a workshop on the matter, council directed staff to incorporate the third of the 3 optional versions of the ballot question for the 1/2 cent Streets Trust Fund into the resolution setting ballot titles. Staff has accordingly prepared resolution number 17, which presents both that question and the citizen-initiated ordinance to prohibit outdoor personal grows of marijuana. Being a citizen-initiated question, there is no flexibility in the wording of that ordinance question, as it has to be submitted to the voters in the form it was presented in the petition.
Okay, Councilor Griego.
With that, I'll make the motion. We approve resolution number 17, 2019.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, please start voting. I think we might be missing one. Thank you. Ms. Holly?
The motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, up next, under City Manager Legal, second reading and public hearing for ordinance number 18-2019.
This is actually me again.
Oh, okay.
So this is the ordinance, this is second reading for the ordinance that updates the local FCPA to determine when a person becomes a candidate. And it also, what does it do? Oh yeah, it changes the term qualified elector in the charter and changes it to registered elector, which makes more sense because that's the way it's listed in statute now. And then it also contains two sections labeled in our code, online Muni code, and it starts it at 5-20 rather than what they have it starting as. So that's what
Okay.
it does. So we need a public hearing on this.
Sure, thank you. At this time, I will open up a public hearing for ordinance number 18-2019. If we have anyone in the audience who would like to speak on behalf of this ordinance or just speak in general, please feel free to come up to the podium. Seeing that no one's coming to the podium, I will now close the public hearing and return it back to council.
Mayor, I move that we approve ordinance number 18-2019.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay. If not, please start voting. Okay.
The motion carried unanimously.
All right, great. Okay. And now we have committee reports. Do we have any committee reports? None? Okay. All right. Up next, we have staff announcements. Heather?
Thank you, Mayor. Opening my calendar quickly, the only staff announcement I have is we had an art committee meeting today, which may be the last one before our art festival weekend, which is scheduled for September 6th and 7th. And as we went over those details, it's just going to be extremely exciting. It's the biggest event that we've had. We have combined the Chock-a-Walk with the Art Walk with the Artscape. We're adding the Salida Circus. We've got outdoor bands and outdoor vendors. So it's just going to be a great weekend to support the arts. We are also partnering with the Wet Paintbrush, and they're going to conduct an outdoor painting class. And so it's just an enormous effort to try to support the arts in Alamosa and grow that for our community. And it's going to be exciting for all ages. And so that is September 6th and 7th. From a council perspective, we will have that artist reception on that Friday night, and it will be at the Grove in the downtown. And then Friday, there will be a presentation of who wins the Chalkscape and those types of things as well. So a lot of good times in the downtown. Thank you.
Heather, this is, sorry, Mayor.
No worries. Go ahead.
This is the third or fourth year we're doing this.
It is the third year for the Artscape, which is the outdoor art. The Chock-a-Walk has been around longer than that, and the Art Walk, which is the art within has been around even longer than that. So I don't have actual dates how long those other organizations have been around, but it's the second year of combining them.
Great, thank you.
Councilor Griego.
Well, they have been around a long time, Heather, and I want to thank staff for all the work they've put into this, because they've been waiting for this type of an event for years and years, you know. And it's been a hidden deal, the arts here, and now it's coming alive, and I'm just so happy that finally, I thought this was going to take at least 10, 15 years to happen, but it's happened so fast that it is really great. So thank you and your staff for pushing it.
And Councilor Grego, thank you for pointing that out, because compared to other events that are usually organized by outside agencies, this is one that is through the Art Committee, which is a volunteer group, but a lot of staff. And so we have staff from Public Works and Parks doing the setups and the teardown. We have Kelly and Jess and Jolene from a coordination and all of those types of things in the Art Committee. But this is not an event that's coordinated by some outside agency. This is more of a city event. So thank you for pointing out the staff effort.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Heather. Okay, up next we have on the agenda, Local Liquor Licensing Authority action.
This is a consent item to approve the written findings to grant Woody's Q Shack beer and wine license. So if you just want to make a motion.
Okay,
Mayor, I move that we approve consent calendar B.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, please start voting.
The
Okay.
motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, up next we have council comments. Councilor Daniel, then Councilor Carson.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say I've really appreciated the recent updates that we've been receiving from staff about the economic development. I think there's been some really cool things going on. And I did also want to address Ms. Brown's comments from earlier. I find it sad to me that someone who owns a business in our community has to worry about 13 and 14-year-olds threatening her. It's inappropriate and it's unfair. What I am very excited about is that she feels comfortable enough calling our police department and then coming here to advocate for them. And I appreciate that about her. There is something going on with people not respecting either people who are older than them, if you want to call it elder respect, whatever. But I really wish more members of our community would stand up the way she does to say those things to people and to call the police and to get things taken care of the way she does. I think we have to hold each other accountable and we have to treat each other with the same respect that we would want to be treated with. But this kind of behavior is intolerable and it's unfair to her in her place of business. And so I appreciate our police working on that. And I was really moved by what she said today.
Thank you, Councilor Daniel. Councilor Carson and then Councilor Vigil.
Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate your comments, Councilor Daniel. I agree with you 100%. I just wanted to make a point of clarification from the last council meeting. It was stated that I voted no on our vote for the three different legal languages in reference to the ballot language. I just wanted to clarify that I voted no because I thought the first of the three was the most legally binding in my opinion, and I had stated that at the beginning of the meeting, so I just wanted to make that point of clarification. There was a reason for my vote. So
Right.
thank you, guys.
Thank you, Councilor Carson. Councilor Vigil.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to welcome back our Adams State students, and good luck to them and to all the professors and across the valley and K-12 education. Everybody's going back to school. Please be careful and slow down in the crosswalks and the school zones. And everybody who's involved in education, have a great year.
Thank you, Councilor Vigil. Councilor Grego.
Mayor, after much thought and much search in the heart, if you want to say that, I want to announce that I'm going to seek re-election. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in my district. We're building a nice big park. The streets, one day, hopefully we can fix those streets. And then the downtown, what we're trying to do downtown, it's going to be very important. So I'd like to stick around and see if maybe be part of that. So I just want to announce my candidacy for re-election. Thank you.
Congratulations, Councilor Grego.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie.
You've been on this council for how many years now?
36.
36 years, and we wish you much success in your campaign, and thank you for the service that you provided to the community over these 36 years. Thank you so very much, sir, and we wish you the best.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilor Rawls and then Councilor Carson.
Go ahead.
I just want to say I've heard a lot of positive comments about the city and the things going on in the city, and I appreciate that to the staff of the city, to citizens in the city. Like I said, I've heard a lot of favorable comments about everything, so I appreciate that spirit and the spirit we have in Alamosa, and say let's continue on. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, David. I just wanted to tell Charlie, thank you. I appreciate you stepping up and doing this again for your ward and for your citizens. And I want to tell Liz and Christina as well that I publicly want to announce my push for you guys and support. I think as a counselor, we've done great. I mean, as a city council, we've done great. We don't always agree. We don't always see eye to eye. But I think that dynamic has benefited our city greatly. And I wish you well, and I'll support you guys. Thank all three of you.
Thank you, Councilor Carson. Very kind of you. And just briefly, last week I had an opportunity to go on a tour with the Joint Budget Committee at ASU last week, and Kevin Daniel as well was a part of the tour, Dr. Lovell and her staff and the board as well. And I'm really hoping that we all can continue to unite towards the common goal of keeping our university here by showing how much they are appreciated in our community. And hopefully the people on the Joint Budget Committee from that tour will find it the need to fund the school at the levels that it needs to be funded at, so they can continue to educate people throughout our San Luis Valley. I'm Professor Hensley, Counselor Hensley. When I look at you, I see all these different hats, so I don't know which one to call you.
Well, I guess I would like to just add to that. We did just start teaching, so same thing with Counselor Vigil is obviously for all the educators and K-12, junior college, university students, all of that, wishing everybody the best. But I will tell you, I think the energy is really awesome right now that is going on in our community, and especially for Adams State, since I am with Adams State. There's just, it's an extra spark. And I know community members have gone around. I know downtown, I'm seeing lots of windows painted. I'm seeing the signs go Adams State. I know there's a real push to start with the idea of going to the football games, but obviously to even go on further from that. I will tell you that I'm in my 12th year at Adams State teaching full time, and the energy in the classroom this last few days has been the best it's been since I've been there. And so it's really, really cool, and it's pretty exciting. So.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. We are about to, Councilor Vigil? Okay. All right, good deal. We're about to enter into executive session. Is anyone going to, Councilor Vigil, you going to?
Mayor, I move that we move into executive session pursuant to CRS 24-6-4024EL to determine positions, develop strategy, and instruct negotiators relating to development agreements for a hotel on the old Pink Elephant property.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please start voting. I think we might be missing one. Thank you. Okay.
The motion carried unanimously.
Okay, we will enter into executive session, and no further business will be discussed after we exit the executive session. Council, if you let's take about a 5-minute break, and